same. 'Cause you love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain.
Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program.
So let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord. 'Cause you are above every name, Jesus. Oh, you set me free. Songs of praise, proclaiming everything you've done for me. 'Cause my walls came down when your love shone through. And now my life will never be the same. 'Cause you love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain.
Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let and Deacon Mike say good morning.
Good morning.
Before we get to them, welcome to UCAN Studios. If you are struggling with drug addiction or need housing or mental health, please go to UCANMichigan.com and we can help you there. Punch in your information and someone will get back with you in just a couple of minutes. If you're struggling with food or clothes or baby formula or outreach, please go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, click on struggling, and the things that you need should be right there for free or next to free, which are my two favorite things to pay. All right. So say good morning real quick, Sister Christina.
Good morning.
All right, and we're just going to tantalize everybody. Where did you grow up real quick?
St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands.
St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands.
St. Croix.
Croix.
Yes.
All right, that's all I'm going to tell you. We're going to get back to her in a little bit. But we're going to start with Deacon Mike, and you are from where, sir?
Well, I live in Chelsea, Michigan. I'm a deacon at St. Mary Church, and I had a call to come to Flint, so I worked half-time in Chelsea and half-time.
All right, so you still work in Chelsea?
Yeah, some.
Okay.
Preach a little bit there.
So when you say you got the call to come to Flint, what was the call to Flint? What was it for? And when was it? What year?
Well, it would be in 2016, September.
All right, so what happened in Flint in 2016?
Well, I had been backpacking in the Tetons with a daughter.
I don't know what a Teton is.
Teton Mountains.
Oh, okay.
And I got this. I got an announcement that deacons from the Diocese of Lansing were going to work on the east side.
Of Flint?
On a given Saturday. And you needed to sign up for different activities. I signed up to pray. I thought I'd be praying over people and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So, and I drive into town, and, I'm coming from the most beautiful part of the United States.
Right.
I drove into town on the east side. I thought, this is the ugliest place I've ever been.
A little bit different view.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I like to live in Chelsea.
Yeah.
I like my parish there. I'm glad I don't have to work in Flint. That literally was going through my mind.
Right.
And so I get there and I find out, well, I signed up to pray all day.
Oh, wow.
In church. And so I was praying all day in church.
Yeah.
And in the regular liturgy of the hours, we call it our prayers.
Yeah.
The Lord reminded me that I had a call to work with the poor back in 1990.
Yeah.
So this is 2016. And he changed my heart about Flint in that 6 or 8 hour period that I was praying.
You went from the ugliest place on earth to maybe I can do something.
Maybe I can listen to a call from the Lord. This is the scripture that I had.
Yeah.
It goes, this is the scripture of the day.
Hey, Mike, pull the mic out a little bit. There you go.
My soul is deprived of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is. I tell myself my future is lost. All that I hope for from the Lord. I thought of my homeless poverty is wormwood and gall. Remembering it over and over leaves my soul downcast within me. But this I will call to mind as my reason to have hope, that the favors of the Lord are not exhausted and his mercies are not spent. And so I was thinking, as I was reading that, about homeless people I was encountering that day.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Flint, and the Lord reminded me that he called me to work with the poor.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all the scriptures that I was reading
Yeah.
that made me think that I needed to serve the poor all popped into mind. I was just doing a Bible study for 6 or 8 hours in front of the Lord, and the Holy Spirit worked in me. By the time I got out of there, I thought, well, I think God's calling me to work here.
So after 6 or 8 hours, you're gonna have to pull that mic up a little bit.
Actually, we're gonna go for a break.
So after 6 or 8 hours of praying, God had you go from this ugliest place to I think I want to help the people here.
Isaac.
Right.
All right, that's the perfect place to take a break. If you've not gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com, like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Sit tight. We'll be right back. What is going
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came.
Impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
You know, it points out, you know, my bad parts, and you know, but it's showing me how to do the good parts, and you know, I'm trying to apply that and you know, make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, you know, the different things of, you know, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, you know, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. You know, I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, you know, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our Warrior this week was Christina, Sister Christina, and Deacon Mike, and we're just getting into your story now. You said you were from Chelsea, you're in the mountains, everything's going wonderful. They said, come pray for Flint, and you didn't realize it was all day, and then you decided, wow, I could do some good here.
Exactly. So I talked to my wife about it, then I talked to the bishop, and he had been asking people to come work in Flint and serve, but he wasn't getting many takers.
Yeah.
So, by the Lord reminded me of a call He gave me years ago. It was fulfilled. So that was what,
Wow.
30 years earlier.
30 years.
30 years earlier.
No kidding.
So I decided that I would come up the next week. I had a friend of mine who was a retired deacon whose wife had just died, and he wanted to join me. So we began by just walking the neighborhood. And we had talked to Father Tom Firestone.
Wait. You said you walked the neighborhood. Which neighborhood are we talking about here?
This side.
Yeah, where at?
Well, down Franklin Street, down
Franklin.
Arlington, down all the streets.
What was that walk like?
Well, it was good.
It was good.
People were doing it. But, that's why we wear collars as deacons.
Yeah.
And so people recognize that we're clergy
Yeah.
and not narcs or something. So
Yeah. And to not rob you.
Yeah, exactly. Or we're probably not rich. They
Yeah.
steal from us.
Yeah, you can get the $4 in my pocket.
Yeah, so we just just walk. If people are out on their porch, we stopped and talked to them.
Okay.
And this one guy came out. He was kind of crippled up, and he walked backwards down the steps. Said, "Hey, pastors." And he said he had been in jail for the 32nd time, mostly on drugs, selling drugs. And he said he had given his life to the Lord. And he needed some spiritual support. And he said, what we need here is a Bible study. And I said, okay, well, we'll have one next Tuesday at 11 o'clock,
Okay.
which I didn't know if we could get a place or anything, but we did.
Yeah.
And then it turned out he was a pretty big drug dealer.
What was the name of that guy?
Jerry
I've had that guy on my show.
Hodges.
Yeah. Yeah, his wife. And they have that whole program? Yeah, I work with them.
Yeah,
That's the
they're
time,
good
yeah.
folks.
Yeah, his story is nuts.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's who you met?
yeah, he's part of my story.
He says we're good friends.
Wow, okay.
So Jerry, first Bible study, he brought, I think the whole place was full of drug dealers, drug addicts, prostitutes, and all of his friends.
So it's perfect.
I felt like Jesus, right? He's always been criticized for hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Absolutely.
But those Bible studies were really good. And one of the things that they latched onto was the story of Bartimaeus. And, Bartimaeus is crying out for Jesus, and everyone's telling him to shut up. And Jesus hears him, and he sends his disciples, to get Bartimaeus and bring him to Jesus. And so when Bartimaeus is going, he's taking off his robes. He sort of undresses as he goes to see Jesus. And that's really symbolic of, people that are in a bad state of sin in their lives. When they start to turn their lives around, they start to shed some of the behaviors that they have.
Yeah.
With Jerry, it was drugs, and it was, sexual activities that
Right. Yeah.
were not good.
No, we had that story already.
Okay, so anyway, he really responded to that. He was a great guy, and he is a great guy.
He is a great dude.
And he
Yep.
turned his life around. It
Yep.
was so impressive for us
Yeah.
to see that. Now I had the privilege of working with him to help him get through that for the first couple of years. And and so Jerry brought a lot of people to us. And we began to minister to the people in the neighborhood as we walked. Father Tom had asked us, both Deacon Dick and I were in the construction trades. I had a mechanical contracting business, and
Yeah.
Deacon Dick was a master plumber. So we thought, well, when we first got here, we thought, well, there's so many things to do.
Yeah.
All these people need help. All these
Yeah.
buildings are falling
Yeah, a
down.
lot of demo.
We could organize crews.
Yeah.
Tom Firestone was a very wise man. He said, I don't want you doing that. He said, we've had enough of people coming in and fixing things up and
Taking off.
leaving.
Yep.
He says, what you need to do is build relationships
Yep.
and build a community in the neighborhood.
Yeah, because what he's talking about is people will come in and they get their pictures for their church, right? And they
Yeah,
drop
exactly.
the candy off. Hey, how are you? And we love you, and we're praying for you. And then they go back to their church and show the pictures, and you never see them again. And then they play that game.
Exactly.
You know.
So what his vision was that we got to know people. And then walk with people and help people get out of addiction, help people to turn their lives around. It's a very slow process.
Yes.
But that has been our
Tedious.
modus operandi, I guess.
Yeah.
And, we worked with Jerry, worked with other people.
Yep.
And one other thing I'll mention before we get to Sister here is I had one of the Bible studies, we were talking about serious sin and not so serious sin.
All right.
And I think somebody wanted to read James, and
Yeah.
I didn't really want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because, there's a
Hold
deadly
the mic.
sin.
There you go.
And there's a not so deadly sin.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
I knew that pretty much everybody in the room was involved in deadly.
Yeah, right.
So this one person said, well, what if, and they wanted me to tell them what it was, adultery and,
Yeah.
robbery and murder.
So they're making you go right in the meat of it.
Right, they wanted to know. So I said all that, and this one woman raised her hand and said, well, what if your husband makes you commit adultery?
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't we talk about that after?
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
so afterwards, when people were still drinking coffee, we went to the side. She said her husband had her be a prostitute for 40 years, 30 years.
40 years.
Well,
30 years.
They got married at 14, so it was
Holy smokes.
quite a bit.
And that to support the drug, right?
well, partly.
Yeah.
But, it was part of that cycle.
Wow.
And I said, well, is that something you want to keep doing?
Yeah.
And she says, well, that's my only income. I've divorced my husband, and that's my only income to pay for my house. And
Right.
I said, well, don't do anything right now, but what I'd like you to do is go home and read the Gospel of Mark, and then ask Jesus what he wants you to do.
Right.
And she said, okay. So the next week, she comes up to me with the Bible in hand, and she says, well, I read Mark, and I quit my job.
And I quit my job.
And then
That's hilarious.
And she said the real miracle in all of that was that her ex-husband was paying the difference so that she wouldn't have to do
No kidding.
the dirty work, you might say.
Wow.
Anyway, her whole life turned around. She got into the church, was baptized, and she's just a great lady. We helped her get a job. I think we had one hiccup with when he stopped providing the income, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She was thinking of going back to it.
Yeah.
And so I gave her some money for that month. And
All right.
And we got her a job within one day.
One day.
We prayed together, asked God to give her a job. Somebody called me and said, I need some people. Had her apply. She got the job. She's worked there ever since.
She's like one of the best employees there.
Yeah.
They
Really?
They
And
love
she's
her.
been there for
Yeah.
years.
All right. So
So that's an example of
Yeah,
how
so-
we work with people.
So that's the ministry. That's the stuff you're doing over on the east side, and we're going to get to that kind of what the program out is at the end.
Yeah.
So how did you get her here? How did that happen?
Well, Sister had been working in Detroit. She can tell you about it.
Yeah.
But Father Tom had asked the sisters, servants of God's love, to come to Flint. And so I think she might have been a scout coming in and checking out the territory.
I came like probably 6 months before, a year before, with another sister to check it out to see.
What was your first impressions?
Actually, I was really impressed by the people. They're very resilient, but also very loving. They really wanted us to kind of just loved at us when we came, very welcoming. So that was really exciting for us to kind of experience that coming in.
So did you just request and they showed up, or did you have a choice no matter how?
One of the Bible studies I had was mostly women.
Yeah.
And as we got into the scriptures, I think the Lord was working on them to try to, and helping them to deal with the hurts that they had encountered in the past. And Sister came right about that same time, her and another sister, Sister Sarah, and they participated in that Bible study. That's one of the things they did each week.
Okay.
And at some point, I just said, you know what? I think you need to be here. They don't need a man
Yeah.
with them right now with what's going on in their lives. There's about 12 women, I think.
Okay.
And so Sister took that and just began to do it each week herself. And it's turned into a fairly successful and large women's Bible study and study group that she leads. And it's made a big difference in a lot of people's lives.
Okay. So, and then so you started here in 2016, and that happened in
2018. So actually, we moved here in 2018, and we were asked by Father Tom Firestone, of the Catholic community of Flint.
Well, why did they ask you guys versus somebody else?
I think
Just because you're close?
No, I think he'd probably been asking several communities to come to Flint to help out.
Yeah.
And so, but his first request was that we come to be a prayerful presence to pray for the people of Flint. That's why we came.
Same as they did to you. Smart move.
Yeah, so to pray for the priests, pray for the community of the people of Flint here. That's why we came, was to be an intercessor, to pray.
Okay, so you come and you were doing what before you came here?
I worked volunteered for 10 years at the soup kitchens, Captain Soup Kitchens in Detroit, kind of being a minister of presence, kind of just being there.
Man, that's a full-time job right there. Whew.
Yeah, but I was only there probably 2 days a week, and I would visit and, just kind of be a mentor there, speak to people, talk to people, listen to people.
Okay.
Ministry of presence, love on them. Then we ended up having a small women's group there. As well, but I would attend this 12-step group that was there that Ed Conlon ran, and it was an amazing group. And I was just more of a support person in the group, and then also had this women's group on the side, and then also helped with the sewing group, and just kind of
imagine that, 18 groups you had, 5, right?
No.
Okay, so to get the full scope of where you got to here, we got to start at the beginning. So you said you grew up in what islands again? Say it again.
St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. So it's St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. I was born in St. Thomas.
So you're born basically in
the Caribbean. Beautiful.
Like heaven.
Yeah.
Basically. It's gorgeous out there, right?
Paradise, yeah.
Okay. So, and then you said you were adopted.
Yes. So I was actually an orphan. My mother wasn't able to take care of me when I was a baby. She had some mental health issues, so I was sent to an orphanage in St. Croix from St. Thomas.
Okay.
And then out of the orphanage until about from 2.5 till about 9 in one foster care home.
Okay.
And then from there.
Hold on. Yeah, what was that foster care experience like for you?
It was good. My foster mother, she loved me the best that she could love me. She was a teacher. She taught me how to read. Amazing woman. But I think...
what was school like? She taught you to read at 9?
No, taught me as probably at 4 years old.
Oh,
She was a teacher, English teacher.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, she taught me how to read and taught me, just was really good was a good teacher.
Yeah.
She had a hard time with conveying love, expressing her love. But I had a foster sister. And
so
a
she
foster
sounds
brother.
like a tough person.
Yeah, she was, but she loved me the best that she could love me.
Yeah.
With her own situation. So raised in that home, but then at one point she wanted to become a lawyer. So she decided to give me up. So I ended up going back to the orphanage.
So
I was about
how
10
long
years
was
old.
that?
From 2.5 till about 9 or 10 years old.
And then she decided to be a lawyer, so you had to...
She wanted to go to law school.
Yeah. So you went back to the orphanage.
Back to the orphanage for about 2 years. And it was a Lutheran-run orphanage, very much. They loved the Lord. They loved us. So I felt really loved there. From there... I met my adoptive mother. She would come and visit me because she knew my foster mother before, knew that I was in the orphanage.
Oh, so the former one's putting feelers out. So see, she loved you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So how long was that process?
So I was in the orphanage for about 2 years. So then from there, I went my adoptive mother got me when I was about 13.
13, yeah. Okay.
But I was adopted at 16.
And what year was that? 13? The 1980s, 1990s?
Yeah, probably the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's in the late 80s, and you're 13, which is a tough time. I had twin girls, so...
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So God bless my adoptive mother. She had it rough.
Yeah, she's catching you right at the... you know everything. Boy.
No, so and I had a lot of walls up. I had a lot of...
Yeah.
I had a lot of anger. I didn't trust anyone. I was, always felt rejected. And
your experience would... And you'd be afraid to get close to somebody because it'd be taken from you, right?
Yeah.
Man.
A lot of walls were up.
All right, so what was that time like from 13 to, let's say, 18? What was...
Well, I was in a family that was actually 8 kids. Plus me, so there was 9 of us kids, but I was the only one that was adopted. So, but it was 5 boys and 4 girls.
Okay, hold on. How many bathrooms in that house?
Actually, we were really blessed. We had 4 bathrooms.
Oh, thank God.
So the girls were all in one room and we had a bathroom.
Yeah, because girls like to dominate the bathroom, and when you really got to go, that becomes tough. All right, so you were there, and man, so you're part of a massive family.
Yeah, it was beautiful, beautiful Catholic family. They loved the Lord. So while I was there, though, I had an encounter with Jesus, when I was probably about 15 or 16. My mother would get me involved in everything that was happening in youth and stuff so that I wouldn't get in trouble. So she was she'd tap me into everything, every youth group event that was, so I went to a Bible study with her. And that's when I experienced the Lord in a pretty powerful way. Experienced God as Father and really experienced the Lord, like really kind of expressing to me that that I was His beloved daughter, that I was His, that I was never abandoned, that I was never alone, that God always, He was always there for me.
Right.
So that kind of began my journey and my walk towards growing in the Lord and my love for the Lord.
All right. So you said you were decided to go into, what is it, nunship? I'm not sure the proper term.
It's actually, we're called religious sisters.
Religious
So it's a
sisters.
community of sisters.
I know it's not nunnery. I know that. I looked that part up.
Yeah, no,
All right.
no. So we're sisters. So we have our prayer times together.
Okay.
We live in a community together. We're called the servants of God's love. So we're called to serve and to love the Lord wherever we are.
Well, before you get into that, we already got to go to our next break. I told you it's going to go by fast. So, but you were in your early 20s when that happened.
Actually, I was 28 when I was discerning to be a sister.
All right. So before we get into those 10 years, so like from 18 to 28, we've got to go to our break. If you've not gone to Spiritual Warfare Unit to like, share, and subscribe, please do that. If you need some help, go to Struggling. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're down here at the Unity Fest the Heart of Flint is putting on, Kersley Park Pavilion over here on the east side. Doing a lot of great things out here with a lot of great people. There's all types of vendors, people giving away food and water and clothing, just a lot of resources for the community. UCAN's out here and we're talking to a lot of people already whose loved ones have been afflicted by the disease of addiction. So we're able to get our information out, hopefully be able to provide resources to those folks in the future.
There's freedom in your name, Jesus. There's freedom in your name. You break every
All right, here we are at Unity Fest 2, and I'm here with the promoter, Jeremy. How are we doing today, buddy?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. We're here at the UCAN tent, handing out for United Community Addiction Network, getting everybody here helped out. It looks like a full house. How many people do you think are here?
Oh, a few hundred. We just opened, so I think it's going to get better, though, today. Because
All right, and how many people you got playing today?
we have 3 artists. We got Shantae Music, and we have Nick Hill, who's out of Saginaw, and then End of I. I don't know who they are, but...
I'm really
All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our Warriors this week are Deacon Mike and Sister Christina. We're just getting into her story, which is extremely unique. And so you graduated from high school in what year?
1990.
1990.
Yeah.
So in 1990, you graduated high school, a family of 9, and you did what?
I went on to school in Ohio, Steubenville, Ohio. I went to a school called Franciscan University of Steubenville.
Wait, say that one more time?
Franciscan University of Steubenville, a small Catholic school.
Okay, as long as I didn't hear Ohio State University. No offense or anything. Or I mean the Ohio State. Anyways, nothing personal, just a football thing. Anyways, all right, so what did you decide to study?
Mental health and human services.
Really? So really into people and understanding. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you go straight through?
Yeah, I did 4 years there, and then grew in my faith tremendously when I was there. Just an amazing school, love the people. And then from there, I moved to Atlanta because I thought there'd be more opportunities for African Americans there, so I moved there. And,
Okay.
Worked there at a.
Did you get a job right out of college, like recruited, or you went there to look?
No, went there looking,
Oh,
and
okay.
the Olympics was actually happening at that time. I wanted to be where the Olympics was happening.
No kidding. That'd have been
So,
fun.
Yeah, so that was fun.
It's an interesting one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So got to go to there, be there for that, and
That's
then,
cool.
but got hired, and I was interning as accounting assistant, so I didn't go right into my field. I just needed a job. So
Yeah, and accounting assistant, out of all the jobs, why? Just because it was, and you
it
could
was
do
just
it?
an opening. So like I was, I started off filing and being an accounting assistant.
But that takes a very technical brain to do that kind of work,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
you say that, my brain goes,
Yeah, I don't.
Right?
No, I'm terrible at math and accounting. So it's
Well, I'm
funny
pretty sure accounting isn't math. It's its own, it's its own language. It gives me the goosebumps. All right. So you did that. How long did you do that?
So I was there for 8 years at Turner Broadcasting. Ended up going to Turner Sports at the CNN building down in Atlanta. So I was
Okay.
there for about 8 years, but then during that time, I really felt that the Lord was calling me to do more. Like,
All right. Hold on a minute. Hold on. You're jumping through some stuff
Okay,
here.
sorry.
So what was that experience like working there? And I mean, sounds exciting.
Yeah, so we got a lot of free tickets to games and stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be living like a young person in Atlanta, living the dream, going out and doing stuff, right?
It was a lot of fun.
But it didn't fill that spot here.
No, so I had been dating different young men.
Yeah.
But I felt like, and each time I would date, it would get better and better. It started dating like more of a strong Christian, and then like from there, like a strong,
Yeah.
deeper in his faith. So it was growing. So that was good, picking the right men eventually.
Right,
the
sure.
right guys to be dating. But then it was just like, I just felt like there was more that God wanted me to do.
All right. So when did that moment happen when you were like, man, I think I want to do full-time ministry?
So I think when I was about 26, 27, was when I was feeling like there's more the Lord wants me to do. So I was actually part of a prayer group in Atlanta, and I got prayed with, and I said, I really didn't want to get prayed with because I felt like people were calling me to get involved in the youth ministry or different ministries, and I was like, but what does God want me to do?
Right.
So during that time, two of my friends said, I really feel like God's calling you to be a sister, and I said, at first I was really excited for about 2 weeks, and I was like, wait a minute, I want to get married, have kids, I want to have twins, I want to
Yeah, that's like one of those choices, right?
Yeah.
A before and after moment.
Yeah, no.
So you came to the conclusion, how long did that take?
So that took within that, they had the sense about me becoming a sister. I was like about 2 weeks. I was excited about it. Then it wore off.
Yeah.
But then I said, no, I'm going to take a year. They said, take a year to discern it. It took 2 years because it was very hard.
That's smart, though.
I took 2 years to discern it because I really wanted to get married and have kids.
Yeah.
Be a missionary in a foreign country. So I really,
Okay.
so I had all these dreams. And so I started visiting some communities and praying about it. And I really felt the Lord was like drawing me to himself. He's like, I really felt the Lord was like trying me to be his bride. So as a sister, we become brides of Christ. We're married to Jesus. So I really felt like it went from where I was like, no, I think I really want to get married to no, I think I want to be married to Jesus. So it's like the perfect gentleman. So how could I not?
Right.
So really felt the Lord pretty strongly calling me to be his own, to be his bride.
All right. And what year was that?
That would have been about 2000, year 2000.
All right. So you went to school for mental health
And human services.
and human services. Then you went into accounting. You're living basically any young person's life, going out and doing things, and you just didn't find that satisfying. Okay. So for most people, that's what they were going for. Like they're trying to attain what it is that you had, and you had that, and you're like, this just isn't what I'm looking for, right?
Not satisfying.
Yeah, it just didn't fill that hole you don't tell anybody about here.
Yeah.
All right. See, this is the part I told you I was looking for. So then you're like, all right, I think I want to be a nun. And then, wait a minute, no kids, no family. Do I really want to not have that? And over the 2-year time period, what convinced you that was the right choice, right? Was there something very specific, or was just over time that decision made the most sense?
I mean, the scriptures, I felt feeling called through scripture, through Hosea. Really felt the Lord calling me to be his own, to be his bride. And then this whole, I think it was in Luke, talks about denying yourself, picking up your cross and following the Lord. So in the midst of struggling with the decision, okay, Lord, this is really what you want me to do.
Yeah.
The Lord would confirm through scripture, and the words kept on coming to me, follow me, follow me. And also there were some words from, as I was getting prayed with, an image of me walking down the aisle of a church, and there was Jesus waiting for me at the altar. So those types of images were coming.
Okay.
People were praying over me, and just but at one point there was one image of a Y, kind of a Y in the road, and the Lord was like, you have a choice. You can choose to get married, or you can choose to be a sister. It's really your choice. You have to decide that choice.
So no wrong choice, just what did you want to do?
Yeah, it's just you have to make the decision. So I chose to, at one point I was like, you know what? How could I not choose Jesus? You're the perfect gentleman. I choose you, Lord. And that was
all right. So, All right. So in 2000, you make this decision, which its own self-success. Anyone that makes that decision, like, extraordinary, right? Because you're just choosing to make it about other people, and people are the best and worst thing about everything, right? All right. So so you're in Atlanta, and then how did you get to Detroit? Like, how did that happen?
So actually, from Atlanta, I ended up going to Ann Arbor. That's where our Community Servants of God's Love is. But from there, we had
but why?
a sister.
What was the reason?
There's some friends that we knew in Atlanta.
Oh.
And another sister had already joined the community. A friend of mine, not a friend of mine, became a friend of mine. But she was already in Ann Arbor, and she was part of the Community Servants of God's Love. And my friend from back in Atlanta told me about her joining this community. It's a charismatic community. They love the Lord. They're on fire. They love Jesus. So that's kind of what I went to go visit them. I visited a lot of communities actually all over, like in New York, Alabama, kind of all over.
So you're kind of like, where am I deciding what to go? See, you know what I like about you is you don't just brash decision stuff. You're like, I'm going to think about being a hyper-logical person and a chess player. Like I want to know the processes before I do the processes, right?
Very methodical.
Yeah. Extremely. Yeah. Same thing, like high-level nerd.
Yeah.
High-level nerd, right? So, all right. So then you came to, so what year was it when you decided to go to Ann Arbor?
So I moved 2002.
Okay, so it took another 2 years to make that decision.
2 years of discerning.
Yeah.
Joined the community in 2002.
Yeah. Discerning. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
That sounds much better, doesn't it? The other one sounds like, let me see. Right. All right. So in 2002, and what was your main job responsibilities when you got there?
So you join as a postulant, so it's a year to kind of to check things out. They're checking me out.
Right.
See,
two-way street, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just kind of looking into it to see what the Servants of God's Love is the community, what they're about, what they do.
So what did you like about them? What was it?
Well, when I first visited them, actually the second time I visited them, it was during a snowstorm. It was pretty crazy. And so I'm from the Caribbean, this Caribbean girl, and I'm like, what am I doing moving to Michigan? Like, it's so cold there. So
it's freezing.
So it was during an ice storm, but I got to actually have time with them because they canceled the retreat with the whole group. So it's just me and a few other women that were discerning.
Yeah.
And so I really got to know the community, kind of see what they're about. They had a real love. They had a joy. And so, and then within that year of kind of being with them, so I really felt like the Lord was like saying, "This is home. This you've been looking for a home. This is your home."
So you had the peace.
I had the peace. I had the joy.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade that for nothing.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So you get the peace, and so you have all these different backgrounds and studies. So what did you do with it? What did you go into?
Well, when you first go into the as a servant of God's love. So you have there's training. You're learning about their community. You're learning about what they stand for, their charism. So as servants of God's love, we're called to love the Lord, but to love people. Our charism is to love God's people.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We do it in different ways. Like some of them are teachers. There's nurses. There's we run a home for the elderly. We had like 30 foster care kids in our care.
Okay.
So we've done like a lot of different things, different services that we do.
So
it's just finding out where does God want
when
us.
you say love them, it's applying yourself to an action for something for the community.
Yeah. So
okay. All right. So, and you listed off like 6 things really fast. Can you give us to them one more time? There was hospital, foster care. What else?
So we've done foster care for like close to 30 kids in the past. We have a lot of teachers.
Teachers, okay.
We've had a nurse. We have a nurse.
Nurse. Nurse nursery or nurse like injections and needles and. Okay, sorry.
And then, so we've also done some college campus ministry, high school ministry, campus ministry.
Oh, okay.
Ministries. And then evangelization is a big piece of what we do. So going out and spreading the word of God.
All right.
We've had radio evangelists. Sister Ann Shields was out there actually evangelizing all over the world. Spreading the word of God.
No kidding.
And so, so it's this different, wherever the Lord has called you to be with your different gifts is where we
I got it. So what did you pick?
I didn't get to really pick. It's just how the Lord, like what the doors that he opened up for us and where the superior.
So what door opened?
Yes. So basically, so I was ministering actually at our home for the elderly called the Emmanuel House.
Oh, you do elderly too. You didn't mention that one in the top 5.
That's at the beginning.
Yeah. There's a bunch more, I think.
So we did Emmanuel House. I did Emmanuel House for about close to 13 years. I served with the elderly there.
Okay, so you did the elderly. So how did that work? How did that work?
So that was the first 13 years of me being with.
Yeah, because that leads to 2016, right? If my math is right.
No.
Because you did 13 years, 2015, so 20.
Yeah. So I did some of that, but also did work with in Detroit at the same time.
Doing the soup kitchens and all that
that
stuff.
happened like more like the last 10 years. Or
So you're doing that plus doing that.
yeah, but it was the care for the elderly before.
So
that
there was like
longer.
2 or 3 ministries that you were doing on a constant basis. That's what this.
But it really began with the Emmanuel House.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I was just normally people are like, oh, and then I focused on this thing. And you're like, no, and. So it's an and thing. Now I know why you recruited her. She's multiple. All right. Before we go to the next, before we go to the next one, we still gotta go to another break.
Okay.
Told you it's going fast. Please go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Sit tight. We will get the rest of this right back.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're out here at our 3rd annual golf outing here in the Genesee Valley Meadows. So, really good day. We have a great number of teams, great sponsorship, great people. We're hoping for a great time. The weather's good. So, we appreciate all the support we get at all of our events. It helps us fight the fight that we fight. So, thank you all. Stay the course.
It's a lot of fun with a good cause. This is a very good cause, and I enjoy doing it. And I have my sons with me today, and we're just going to have fun. We know we're not going to win, but we're going to have fun.
Oh, today is awesome day today. This is our 4th or 5th one here, and can't thank UCAN enough for what they do, especially on this situation where they have this outing. Mark and Debbie and all of them. It's just an amazing outing, and I couldn't think of it brings back memories, but it's a wonderful thing, and we really appreciate it.
All right, welcome back to the Warriors Way. Our Warriors this week are Deacon Mike and Sister Christina. And she was just getting to the part of coming to Flint and why they were recruited. And I imagine you're placed, right? They just say, go here and do this, and then you expand the ministry.
Yeah, like they often ask you, hey, what do you think about this? And
Okay.
you pray about it. We all pray about it together.
Right. So then you come to Flint, you do the work with Deacon Mike, and how in the world did the Pope find out about what we're doing, what you guys are doing here? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so actually, the Pope, we actually went, Sister Dorsey, was a founder and superior of our community.
Mm-hmm.
She now lives in Flint. She's kind of head of our house of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a really good ability to connect people, to connections and stuff with people. So she basically has a friend of hers who wrote books on the Pope, and his name is Austin Iverhy, I believe.
Say it again, Austin
Iverhy.
Iverhy?
Yeah, Iverhy.
Well, we're going to be Googling that. So okay.
Yeah. So basically, but before that, she met a guy named online. His name is Mako Fujimori. He's an artist,
and
he does kintsugi. He does this thing called kintsugi. It's like an ancient art form work where you take broken teaware or broken vessels.
Yeah. Fill it with silver and gold.
Bowls, and you fill in the broken pieces with gold lacquer.
Yeah.
So she loved that because loved the idea of what that means, especially So basically, so for us, we're all broken people, but the Lord, he takes us and he repairs us. He makes
and makes the broken pieces the artwork,
and becomes more valuable than it was before. So
right.
that's how we are as broken people. So she really wanted him to present this gift, a kintsugi piece, to the Pope, to the Holy Father, because of the ways that he's worked so many with so many people who are poor, who are broken.
Yeah.
He has a heart for the poor and for the broken. And so she thought, hey, what if you gave this gift, a gift to the Pope? And she talked to Mako about it, and Mako said, oh, that's amazing. Then she also connected with Austin. Austin got us. He was the one that was able to get us to meet the Pope. He set up this whole thing for us.
Wow.
With her as well. So that's how it all came about. It was really just to present this gift to encourage the Holy Father, to encourage the Pope. That's why we actually went. I got to go as a side piece, a sidebar. I wasn't really supposed to kind of
Listen,
go.
hold on.
So-
First of all, I saw the picture already. You showed it to me. So that's cool. But what was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was pretty incredible. So we go in there, and it was, of course you're nervous at the beginning. But
Yeah, of course.
Once we got there, once we were in there with him, like he's very much down to earth, very much at home. We introduced ourselves to him. Mako presented his gift of the kintsugi piece to him, and he said thank you very much. He was really grateful. He said he felt encouraged, and then Sister Dorsey introduced me, and said that I worked in Flint. And he said, thank you for that. And then I was able to share, he said to us as a whole, like, be creators of the good and the beautiful. Like, we're all artists, but be creators of the good. There's so much bad out there, but be creators of the good and the beautiful. And then Sister Dorsey said, well, we pray for, our community prays for you every day. And he said, you prayed for me or against me?
Valid question.
You pray for me or against me? And we're like, no, we pray for you. And then at the end, like, I just said, thank you, Holy Father, for all that you do. I said, greetings from Flint. I said, from Detroit, from Ann Arbor, from Christ the King. I said, we love you in Spanish. Te amo, Papa. So that was really such a gift for us.
All right. And then this, what is this?
Yes. So this is, Sister Dorsey had got this hat when we were in Rome. It's like a lot of the popes, they wear this.
Yeah.
And he actually signed it for us. So
you got some swag.
So he put it on his head and he gave it to us and signed it for us.
So you gave official Pope swag.
Yes.
All right. And I know you got the picture. Let's see the picture so we can get a close up of this right here.
So this is Pope Francis, obviously, and then Mako, the artist, his wife, Hejin, who's amazing. Both, he's Japanese American, she's Korean American. Sister Dorsey, our founder superior, was a superior. And this is me. And so yeah,
she's holding hands with the Pope there.
So Sister Dorsey, just amazing. She was an amazing woman. She felt like she was holding the hand of her father, so she wanted to hold his hand. And can I hold your hand? And she wouldn't let it go. It was pretty funny. So
well, that is very cool. This is my first piece of Pope swag that I've ever seen before. Thank you for showing us that picture. All right, so you did that comeback. It was pretty big news here, actually. And so I had to see what you were doing and how the whole process worked. And then I wanted to give an opportunity for what you guys. So thank you for that story. That is a very cool story. Now, back to Deacon Mike. We started with you. We're going to finish up here.
Okay.
So your mission for the community, you do a bunch of things. Right, and you gave me this giant list. I just want everybody to see the list, and it's stapled. So we're not going to get to all these things, but if people were in that area and you were going to say, "Here's what we do if you need help," what are the main kind of points there?
Well, basically all of those things came about as a response to individual needs that people we met and we were walking with, so we sort of just helped them.
So what are some of those things? So you got, let's see.
Well, for example,
you got housing. We have 6 homes for what? What are those homes for?
We had there were 2 families that got kicked out of, had to leave rental places.
Okay.
Because of bad landlords.
Okay.
Who said that they were going to take care of the water or whatever, and they put their down payment on, they got in, and they couldn't get the water turned on because there was a $4,000 bill on it.
Got it.
And so the landlords then had their money, and then they,
told them, thank you very much.
Right?
Yep.
So before Sister, there was a lady named Mary Dowsett, and I and Father Tom got together to pray about this. And we all felt like maybe the Lord wanted us to get a house. For a transition. Somebody who's homeless, that's temporary, and then they can move on to something else. So that was Tuesday. And then Friday, somebody gave us a house out of the blue. Didn't know us from Adam. They just decided they couldn't sell their house on Franklin Street.
So on a Friday, they're like, hey, I got this house.
Yeah, I got a call from my secretary saying,
of course,
somebody just gave us a house. What's that about? So
with a $4,000 water bill in the back.
Well, thankfully there wasn't much there, but
yeah.
So we fixed that house up, and we tie in with St. Luke's New Life Center.
Yep.
They have a program that is a job preparation program for men and also for women, where they help people who had never really been in the working market.
Yeah.
To know how to work for someone, and when they get done, they give them a job. They got to get a license, driver's license. They got to drop clean, and they what's the last thing?
GED.
GED.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So anyway, I worked with that program for a while because one time Jerry Hodges and I brought 16 guys from East Side over there. So I needed to volunteer in that program. Jerry still does.
Yeah.
But anyway, when you go through that program, you have to volunteer. So what we did was that house. We used volunteers, the guys who were going through the program, to come over and work on the house because the house needed to be stripped.
Oh,
out.
I got you.
So, Deacon Dick was a plumber and I was a contractor. And
So
also
is that what
builder.
that list of assistants working on things
So
is?
what we did was we taught them how to do those things. And then those guys could go on to get other jobs, which they did.
Gotcha.
And then, I paid them after their volunteer hours were done. So over time, we acquired 6 houses. And we used, mostly I paid the guys, but if they were in that program, they had to volunteer at least 8 hours for me.
Right.
And so we helped to train the guys to do the work. And
Okay.
They volunteered. And then we had a lot of volunteers helping us from Sister's home parish, which is Christ the King in Ann Arbor, and my home parish, which is St. Mary in Chelsea. So anyway, now we have 2 transitional houses where people go in temporarily, and then we help them get on their feet, and we subsidize their utilities and that sort of thing.
All right, question on that.
Yeah.
So do they have their own room? Is that how that works? Is there multiple people in the
It's
room?
mostly for families, so they have the whole house,
Okay,
and so we charge them what they can afford.
I got you.
And the idea is that they get into one of the programs at St. Luke's or with Sister,
Yeah.
or some of the programs downtown. They get some mental health.
Yeah.
They get off. We actually don't allow current addicts to live in the homes, but if they've been off for a year, then we can think about that. So anyway, we have 2 that people are moving on. We have a couple where we have senior citizens with health issues, and they have small houses.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a safe house for women that is run by St. Luke's New Life Center. And we work together with them on all these houses.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things we do is provide housing. We also help people get into low-income housing, sometimes paying the deposit. These are
Yeah, because I
people
heard that
get to-
there's a backlog on that.
Oh, yeah, it's
Okay. So also food gives away. When do you do that?
every other Wednesday,
Every other Wednesday?
11 to 1.
All right, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just putting all this on there because I want to put this up. We have a community calendar, and I want to put you
Okay.
guys' information up. That's all right with
Yeah,
you.
we also provide furniture to people who are getting into housing and
Okay.
plates and dishes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I get a lot of furniture from Chelsea. And So
Okay.
we have a closed trailer. I go down and pick up things, and
Yeah.
pretty much it doesn't last a day or two.
Right.
But a lot of times, Sister and I keep a list of people that need things.
Right.
So we
Yeah, the backlog,
And-
the always ending, never ending backlog, right?
we have a great guy from St. Joe's Church in Dexter who comes up every Friday.
Steve Cordy.
Named Steve Cordy, great guy.
Yeah.
Business owner. And he comes up and volunteers his time and delivers furniture to people.
Delivers the furniture.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
And we have some volunteers that help with that as well. We have a lot of volunteers.
All right, so if people wanted to volunteer, where would they go, like sign up or get a hold of you? Like what would be the, would they use the number?
Probably call the office and say that they want to help with something.
All right, so
Things we could use would be people who would be mentors to people.
yeah.
So
For our youth, and we have a youth program too that Sister Rachel runs.
All right, so that number is 810-232-4012?
Yep.
All right, and if people wanted to go volunteer, they could do that?
Yeah.
All right, and then if people needs help, do they call that same number?
yes.
All right. So if you need help or you want to help,
Or if you
you can be of help,
Or if you need prayer, because we do a lot of prayer ministry there too.
Yeah, that's
our
the
case, pointing
basis
to
of
Jesus.
a lot of what we do
Yeah.
is prayer ministry. The idea to help people to get free of addictions. We also
right?
are connected to you through Aaron
Yeah.
You can. Yeah.
Yep.
with UCAN, and so he helps place people
Yep.
for us, and he's been a big help because Sister and I we don't come from an addiction ourselves, but
Yeah.
he's helped us to not want to get people into rehab more than they do.
Right.
So he's helped us see
Yeah.
the realistic side of things.
Yeah, one of the most difficult and powerful things is accepting someone's choice to fail. I mean, that sounds simple,
Yeah.
but it's not easy, right?
It's something we've had to learn.
Yeah, and you can't want it more than they do because they're just going to fall. But that cycle just clicks, And I grew up with family members that struggle with that addiction. So you can want them to win, but if they don't think there's anything wrong, they're just going to keep, and it goes nuts. Well, I want to thank you guys both for coming on. What a great story. What a great backstory. So if you guys want to help out with St. Mary's Mission, you can do that. You can call by 810-232-4012 and get hooked up there. And that's on North Franklin.
2500.
2500 North Franklin.
2500 North Franklin, which is they need prayer and help over there. That is a tough. I'm really glad to be partners with you. But before we go on our new segment, we like to finish with some good positive news. I was kind of looking through some of the stuff that happened today, and today's date is January 13th. Thank you. And I came up with a news article about a Walmart greeter who was 87, and it was in Delaware, I believe, and he was a greeter, and these people got together and raised $100,000 for this 87-year-old man who was still grinding the job to be able to retire. And gave him the news.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Isn't that, and the world is just so full of all of these negative news stories, but there's all this positive stuff. And one of the reasons why I like to have people on that help people is it's very positive. We're working, we're getting people done, but people forget in the world that positive stuff happens, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this poor guy, if you check that out, Walmart greeter gets $100,000 so he can retire. That was just people being good people on January 13th, 2023. So I really appreciate that. If you have not gone to Spiritual Warfare Unit and shared, and subscribed, the time is done. We want to thank you for tuning in and watching. We look forward to our next time. Thank you so much for coming in, and we will see you next week.
Good?
Oh, it's just...
Another day in the life of Oz, the great and powerful.
I know we didn't even get to the stories of the people. So powerful.
Well,
We didn't get to too many, but that's okay.
well, that's why the next time that you come on.
Basic idea, sure.
Yeah. I told you it goes by really fast. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.